everybody. Everybody say hi. Hi. Welcome to tonight. This is the last of 6 lessons on cultivating a peaceful home. Tonight we're going to be talking specifically about respect among the siblings in the home and also respect with those outside of our home. So in general, learning how to teach our children to be respectful of others. It's a very, very important thing, and it's really the opposite of being self-centered. And that's something that all of us struggle with and our children do by nature. And so it's a really important lesson. I'm glad y'all are listening, and I'm glad each person's here tonight for us to learn these important truths. So, I'm going to now turn to the right lesson. There we go. Okay. A mentor in my life's name is Charles Wing, and he used to say this quote, and it really had a strong impact on me. View your family as a little nation and take control over how it is run. And I think that's something I'm hearing from those of you who have been coming. You're getting serious about your role as a mom, as a wife, as an influencer, as one who has great impact on the tone of your home. And that is wonderful. And you're looking to God for wisdom in changing yourself and myself first. He wants to start with us, changing us lifelong, and then that having influence over then the impact we are creating in our homes and the way that we are disciplining and shaping the hearts of our children, the way we interact with our husband. It's really important. And we've also talked a lot about setting goals, not just randomly, but based on the makeup of your family, the strengths, the characteristics, the abilities that you see, and by praying and asking the Holy Spirit to guide you on what is the aim of our family, and not like forever, but for right now and for the next year. What do you want in our family's life? And being serious about that, and that's so exciting to me. Because if we don't do that, then every day we tend to run behind what's happening, right? We're not ahead of the game with the plan in place. And I'm just proud of y'all for the stories that I'm hearing about how you've really thought about the tone you want in your home, the character you want in your children, the hearts that need to be changed, and things you're working on in your own life too. So view your family as a little nation and take control over how it is run. So here's some questions for you. Do you have the tone in your home that you want? You're probably not exactly where you want to be, but are you making progress in that direction? Are you dealing with things, stopping the world to make things a priority that have to do with the hearts of those in your home, including yourself? And remember, you're not going to ever arrive, but we can get closer. We can make sure the tone is kind, respectful, loving in our home. And we might be smooth sailing for a while, and then we realize, what has happened? The kids are fighting. Nobody's obeying. I'm being unkind to everybody. And what's crept in is selfishness. And so it's time to stop the world, to do that Ellis boot camp, plug in your last name there, and ask the Lord to get a hold of my heart, show me what needs to be changed in our home. But have that aim of what it looks like for people to talk to each other in the home respectfully, kindly. Do your children treat each other with honor and respect? Do your children know the different interests, personalities, uniqueness, strengths, skills in their siblings? Could they rattle them off? Heather, can you come up here, please? Unscripted. Did you ask any of your siblings? Obedience is listening. Okay, just kidding. Okay, no. What I wanted to ask Heather, y'all, isn't this sweet of her to be willing to do this for me like this? Thank you. I just wondered if you just call out your siblings' names and just rattle off some things you love about each one of them. With this in mind, this is not really about the Ellis family. I'm demonstrating, she's repeating what has been said within our home over the years about each other. It's not just her observing, it's how we have created what each one's known for. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
And I'm going to text your siblings while you talk, see if anybody else is available.
Well, Laura is a peacemaker.
Talk louder.
Laura's a peacemaker. She's just 2 years older than me. She's a peacemaker. John, my oldest brother, is very wise, and he has great advice and a lot of wisdom to share. Daniel has great advice too, even though he doesn't normally, like, you have to ask him for it. He does have great advice. He is great. Kelsey's very gifted musically and with leading. She's a very good leader, great leader. She knows how to get things done, I guess, too. Who am I missing? Alexis. Alexis is very creative and a great, she tries a lot of new things, and she's a great person to adventure with, because she is always up for new things. Did I miss anyone?
I think that's all.
Okay.
You.
Who is this? Is that Alexis?
Alexis.
Okay, she said yes. I can't, it's so little.
Does she know that you're speaking?
No, but she'll find out. Should we FaceTime? Yes, let's FaceTime.
Oh, goodness. It's audio.
Oh. Oh, wait, I did.
Hey, Alexis.
I would say that.
Mom is teaching cultivating right now. Do you want to say something
Wait.
for her?
Can we FaceTime?
Can you FaceTime?
You're on.
She said she
Okay,
can't FaceTime.
she can't FaceTime. You know that. Probably, in your pajamas. Hey, Alexis.
Yes.
Okay, I'm talking to these ladies here,
Okay.
and you're on speakerphone. And so,
Hello.
so
Hi.
Alexis is in San Francisco. That's where she works and lives. I was just wondering if you could maybe rattle off we're talking about studying your siblings. So I was just trying to let these ladies know that y'all know each other's strengths. Could you name some things about Heather that come to mind?
Sorry, it just cut out. For who?
Heather.
For Heather?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Heather is very passionate. I think that she takes in. She feels very deeply for other people. She sees hurt in people and wants to help them. I think Heather makes up her mind and wants to do something, and I think it's cool that she will stick to it and do something. She's really good at things are black and white. Like she can just what is that called? Discernment.
Yeah, discernment. Which?
Yeah, she definitely has a very, very clear sense of that. I think that she is the first person to be able to know, yeah, that's wrong. Okay, no, not do that.
That's
she's
good.
She's fun.
Yep, that's true too. Thank you, Alexis.
You're welcome.
And thank you for being flexible
You're welcome.
and being willing to be put on the spot.
No problem.
Kristen Leggett is here, and she took a picture, so we'll text it to you of this moment.
All right, great.
All right, love you.
Love you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So that was sweet, wasn't it? But some of the things, she hasn't lived here in 4 years or something, but those are things that we talked about within the family dynamics at the dinner table when somebody was not doing so well. There was a time when one of my kids I felt like I saw a lot of insecurities, and that child, and when you see that in a child, hop on it. Hop on it. Talk to them about their worth and get everybody involved in your family. Your home is a safe zone for this. If it's not, if you're worried about a sibling making fun of something you're going to share intimately with them about another sibling, you pull them aside first and talk to them alone. And you say, I'm about to share with the family something about your brother that I want us all to rally together and help him with. And then you can predict what that thing might be that he might make fun of, the way he might act. You address that, and you might say something like, and when I share this, it's serious. Our home is a safe place. You are not to laugh, and it is never to be shared outside of our home. This is the place we will build up. And you get very serious. You don't have to yell. Get on their level, calm, serious about it. So you've dealt with what you think are the potential things that aren't going to be rallying around. But we did this for one of the children, of our children, and he was little at the time, and we put him on the table, and I told all the kids before, like privately, what we're going to do, and we went around, and we spoke words, truth, not like, I like your shoes, but even though that's fine, but we spoke truth at a very young age of things we saw in him that were amazing. Like Daniel, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but like Daniel, you notice details better than anybody I know. Daniel, you this, you that. And we just went around. It was a one-time thing, and it was incredible. He may not even remember that today, but I do. Do you remember last week how I talked about the Daniel swing? This was just something ongoing that we worked with. It was just a time I sat on the swing, rocking with him outside, and just was present with him. Okay? God designed every one of your children, and they all are special. And you and I need to tell everybody in our home how incredibly made everyone is. And then when there's weaknesses, which they all have, and frailties, it is a safe place. And you tell those other kids quietly how to build up those kids. No, you are not to cut your brother down. You are his number one fan. And that when they go against that, that's a time for you to take it really important. You stop whatever you're doing. And I'm not talking about, and then you drag them out of the room and make a big scene. I'm talking about you have something already established where you go, hey. And you just do the motion like, that means go sit on the stool. That's our thing, like go sit in my room and wait. Or whatever it is, you go over that ahead of time. You remove them. It is serious that siblings get along with each other. Do y'all understand that? And we can play a role in them getting that, like being that kind. One of our goals is to cultivate best friendships within our home, to have greater influence on them than peers do. We're talking about, do you know the different interests, strengths, weaknesses, frailties? Do those in the family know them? And are you intentional that they build each other up and come alongside in areas that are sensitive, that are difficult for them? We had a nephew over here one time. He was new to our family, and he was scared about a lot of things. And my boys were going to take the boat out and go to the marsh and hang around. And I knew that he was fearful of many things. But part of the way that I want to teach my children, this is not biblical, but one of the things I personally find valuable is that my children learn to face fears head on, and they go through them, right? Building them up. So I knew this about my nephew and wanted him to go out on that boat, but I knew he was fearful of this and that and would perhaps whine, perhaps complain, and these kind of things. So I told my boys privately, not in any way that was degrading or making fun of, because that's not how I saw it. I saw it as an opportunity to come alongside and help him to face some things with tenderness, gentleness, okay, to help him in this. So I positioned them well, and then I talked with him. They are going to be there with you. But what I want you, now at this point I'm addressing what I predict, training ahead, what I predict will be potential problems. And I say, now, when you're out there, if you whine, who are you being about? Me? Okay, you're not going to be selfish. This is something the boys enjoy doing, and you're going to go along with them and enjoy it with them and learn from them. So you're not going to whine, and you're not going to blah, blah, blah. Again, kind, supportive, helping to come alongside him. People privately knew, and he knew what the expectations were, right? He went out there, it's the same thing with his nephew, same thing within our homes is what I'm getting at. They come alongside and they help him, move him through that, not brutally, not mom said, nothing like that, because they've been trained ahead how to love through something that's scary or difficult. They had a great time. So proud of him. So proud of him. Maybe that is something you have in your home right now. Maybe one child's kind of fearful about something. Tell another sibling how they can help, how they build into each other. Tell them they're their greatest fan. And then make sure you're telling the greatest fans, you're their greatest fan. Speak words of life into him, okay? Do your children feel safe in your home? Is there a sibling that's being mean? Swiftly make that a priority and deal with it. Be swift to bring restoration. That is a theme here. Have you heard that about every week? A theme is there's going to be disagreements. That's part of two people, right? But how we deal with it and the length of time that we let pass before our hearts are convicted and that we deal with it, it needs to get shorter and shorter. All right? And we're teaching our kids how to own their part of it and make it right and not worry that the other person didn't apologize. We've talked about that in the past, about that part of it. So check out that video. Is anybody being made fun of in your home? There's no place for that. Just start watching and being more intentional. And really, we got the Holy Spirit with us. Ask Him, Lord, show me things that I've been blind to. Ways my kids hurt each other. Of course, ways I hurt with my mouth, with my actions, with, as I've mentioned for myself, with expressions, big sighs, big eyeballs. Do your children feel safe? Do they know how restoration takes place? How do your children play amongst each other? Take some time and watch. If you are with kids of little age, young ages, set up a game. Pay attention. Does one of them always call everybody a cheater if he loses? Well, it's time to nip that in the bud. I would put that this week's goal is we're not having that anymore.
Review the hidden camera footage to see who really cheated, right?
But that's important because how many adults can't play sports with each other without calling them cheaters or being a hothead, being hot-tempered, right? They should be able to be good at cheering for the winner and be good at losing and laughing it off like it's fine. I mean, every time somebody wins and somebody loses, right? They should be able to do both well. Be a good sport if they win as well. All right, so pay attention to that and deal with it. If you know right now that you have a child that does that, talk to them ahead of time. Train ahead. When you play that game today, you're either going to win or you're going to lose. What should you do if you win? Oh, sorry about that. Maybe not. Now that's fine if they already have established everybody in your home's good winner or loser and they take it well. But if it's a pattern that they're not and that person's always like that and it crushes the other person, you got stuff to deal with, right? Train ahead. when you play that game, I'm going to let y'all play instead of doing math today, right? Y'all can play that game, but listen, and privately tell that one child when you're going to win or lose. What are you going to do if you win? What are you going to do if you lose? And you make sure they know how to handle it. And then you say, now if you don't tell him good job, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to call you into here, and this is what's going to happen. I'm not saying you need to spank. I'm saying, like, let's, depending on their age, let's use our words to teach to the heart. Because if they just get in trouble for doing it and it's not changed, we weren't very effective. This is all about training to the heart for lasting change, right? So something to think about, how do they play amongst each other? Do they enjoy each other's friendships? If they're more so asking for friends to come over instead of being with siblings, something to think about. You might say no for many times in a row, but I'd have a game plan in place that you're going to do some things together with the siblings so that they learn to be together, play together, find out what their interests are, do some things around that so they enjoy that together. And then when that's good, you can say, hey, let's invite friends over. And then you want to teach them how to have friends over, because their siblings should still be their favorite people. Their siblings should still be included, right? Like if you have a 10-year age gap, you got to think about what your family dynamics are, right? And they might not be like best friends, but they should be able to enjoy. The older one should be able to engage in Legos with the younger one because he's learned to be about the other person. And the younger one should know how to interact with the older one without trying to get attention. How to serve, how to be kind, how to welcome his friends in and say, can I get you something to drink? How to serve each other no matter their age. Talks about how it's our duty to maintain a home that's a place of peace and a shelter in a stormy world. Unless the Lord builds the house, yes, its builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchmen stand guard in vain. Each child is significant, is a special gift, is a blessing. Psalms 127:3 says, children are a heritage from the Lord. They're a reward from Him. Do you always feel like that? No. Do you? I just admitted I don't know the 100%. I do. It's hard. It's hard, right? But what a gift. What a gift. And that needs to be our attitude. Lord, this is a gift. It's difficult. It is difficult. This child is particularly difficult right now. Would you show me their strengths, the beautiful way you've designed? Would you guide me to steer them towards skills and interest and serving others based on his skill set? The individual design that you've created. Let me know him. Pray that. And God will honor that. He will guide you with understanding each child. So let's talk some more about attitudes, actions, and words among siblings in our home. Philippians 2:3. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit. But, do you remember how we've done put off, put on? Listen to this verse. What are we putting off? And then what will we be putting on in its place? This is how we train to the heart. We're not just saying stop it to our kids. We're identifying the root cause of their behavior, and we're dealing with that. Okay, Philippians 2:3, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit. What are we putting off? Selfishness. That's going to apply this week to somebody in our homes. But in lowliness of mind, let us esteem others better than ourselves. Put off self-centeredness, and in its place teach our kids put on what? Humility. That's the training to the hearts of our kids. You were selfish to your brother. Picking on the boys today, huh? You were selfish to your brother. We're going to put that off. Y'all, come on, help me. As a mom, what are you going to say? Put on what? How do we make that practical? Serve. Stars for you today. Serve. How can you serve your brother? What can you do for him today? Well, I don't know. They're not going to know the answers. This is part of training, right? And then they will know the answers because you're teaching them how to think biblically and how to think of what they own. Okay, so if they're playing with, what are they playing with? Give me an example. What do your boys play with?
Legos.
Okay, I was trying not to say Legos because I use Legos, but they are so awesome. I used Legos last week for an example.
Superheroes.
Okay, so they're playing
Teenagers and they all swirl around their little Xbox problems.
Xbox. Okay, Xbox, Legos, superheroes. Okay, these are some great examples. So they're fighting over which one gets the Superman. And they're fighting over it, and they're like pulling at it. And you, okay, guys, stop. Are you esteeming the other one better? You know, you might say it like that, or you might say, come here. Okay, you're fighting over this because you both want your way. What did you do? What is it, right or wrong? What will you do next time? Those questions that we went over before, I think in week 3, maybe. And then you say, okay, you were trying to take from your brother because you wanted something so badly. Right? So what can you do to give, to serve your brother instead of wanting? I could give him Superman. That is a great idea. That, and you might not think of that. You might have to help him, you know. Or I'm going to keep Superman, but I could give him a piece of cake. Okay, but you needed to be what they're dealing with. Okay? Do y'all see? Xbox, same way. It is important that they learn to get along and they learn to serve. Okay. Now, do you remember me talking about my friend Peggy and how she would just say the word honor when they were arguing over something because of that verse? Let each esteem each other, let each honor each other as more important than themselves. So here's some attitudes that we face within our home and within our children's hearts and our own as well. Thinking that we're better. Do you see that in any of your kids? What we want to do is teach them to see through the other sibling's eyes. All right? That's not easy, but it's very helpful. So we have 2 daughters, and let's call them Abby and Ella. And they're sweet friends, and they begin to argue over, throw out something. Barbies. They begin to, just like the superheroes, they begin to argue over it. And it's the same thing, isn't it? It's the same thing. When you're arguing over something, then you teaching your kids honor for them to like, oh, that's a trigger. Okay, I need to think of the other person as more important than my own wants and desires, and then they should release it and let the other do it. And really, the more honorable one is the one that releases it. As moms, we should be noticing if our child's not strong, if our child is letting go because she's fearful or she's insecure. It's a confidence thing to be the one to let go, right? It should be like, I know I'm doing the right thing. But if we see that our child gives in all the time or the other one's a bully, those are things to deal with as well. You know, I mean, I still think we need to serve all the time, but if that was the case with these 2, our pretend people that are letting me pretend with them, if that's the case and it's always the same way it's happened, I'm going to call one of them and
the names. I wasn't Like, I
Oh.
was just using the example names.
Absolutely, we're pretending. Yeah.
These two are so cute. They
They
do
are.
have little moments every so good in the front seat, but it's cute and fun. It doesn't seem like it's
Yeah.
elbow
But-
you and knock you in the eye kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. If you see that one of your children or several of your children are weak, then that's another issue to be dealt with. They still should serve, but there are times to speak up too. And we've talked about that, haven't we, in some of these sessions about times that they need to speak up.
Well,
I talked to you
depending
about
on the person.
also, like, I don't know if I actually said it, but there have been times, I should have said this last week when we were talking about respecting the adults, is there are times, the parents provoking the children. Sometimes as moms, we have seen our husbands do this where they have maybe set unrealistic expectations. They've expected different things. They've blamed the kids for something and they don't know the whole story, right? Just things that are like can happen to anybody. And if it's a pattern, we need to tell our kids behind the scenes. I think our kids need to know, and I've told mine before, listen, you need to respect your father. You need to do what he said, even though, like, your dad might come home from work today and say, you did not clean the pool. I know you cleaned it 4 times, but the leaves fell again right before he got home. So if your dad says, I told you to clean the pool and you didn't do it, I want you to very kindly say, yes, sir, and go out there and clean it. And then later, when it's not a moment of confrontation or anything like that, here's how I want you to talk to your dad. And then I will coach them on that. I don't just throw them in it. I say, here's how you do it respectfully, because that's important. I do think they need to know how to stand up. And so it would be something like, Dad, I just cleaned the pool, and I wanted you to know that I did clean it today earlier, but the leaves fell. So I just wanted you to know that I did respect what you said earlier and all that. Okay? There may even be times to say, and Dad, the way that you talk to me is harsh and it's hurtful, or whatever the dynamics are. Do you understand? It varies according to the different dynamics going on, but it all should be done with respect. If you see a child that is in any way being bullied, yes, you need to work on that. Like, and ask Holy Spirit, show me how to guide me through this. Okay. What kind of traditions do y'all have built into your home? Part of having a calm home is some traditions, like things your kids can do together, building relationships within the home, board games, watching movies together, family night. What does that look like to you? As your kids grow, you might have them be the ones that plan family night, and you let them be creative, let them, however you want to take that. It might be that they come up with the food. They may even, depending on their age, they may even make the food. Yes, I really like chopped hot dogs and Cheerios mixed. Not really. We had one that used to do that kind of stuff a lot. So we were like, oh, look that way. It was not you. Throw out real quick, just like some quick things that are family fun things that y'all do. Movie night with popcorn, okay?
We like to go for walks.
Walking, okay? What? Board games.
We go fishing.
Nice. Fishing, there's always an adventurous family. Hunting. Anything else? Bike rides? Nice.
Build your own pizza night.
Oh, how fun. Build your own pizza night. Very nice. And part of Kathy's home is teaching her girls how to bake some delicious caramel pound cake. If y'all have not tried that, you must get a piece before you go. Go off the diet for tonight, okay, just for that. Oh.
Can I move in for just a week?
Okay. So you get the point that it's important that your kids get along, enjoy each other, encourage each other and build each other up. And that, no matter what, is a safe place. It's a safe place for them to be awkward, for them to grow, for them to work through things without siblings making fun of them. That all of those things, when not taking place, are important enough that you intervene so that they get along and they know how to. If we want our homes to be peaceful, we must make it a priority to deal with issues when the kids are not kind to each other. And you heard me in past weeks talk about stop the world and also honor each other. Now, how do you handle things when a friend is over? For example, when I had the kids were all in our house and they had somebody coming over, let's say they were elementary and younger, and they had kids coming over that were elementary age, the older ones, and I knew they wanted to go run and play in the fort. I would say, not every time, but part of training is I would say, now when you have your friends over, you're never to run and hide and be mean from any of the siblings. That's teasing, right? Now, if they're playing hide and go seek, that's appropriate, right? To hide from the, okay. But not to be mean-spirited, okay? If they were, we would deal with that. The friends would go home. Probably not, really. I don't know that I ever sent a friend home, but if that's something that you need to do it. But if you deal with things ahead of time, then you can say, hey, come here. Are you being kind? No, okay, it needs to stop. Invite her to play with you. Now, do I think that they always need to include the siblings in everything? No, I don't. I think it's completely fine to have times where the older ones are playing board games in here and the younger ones aren't. But if that's what they always want to do, to me there's a problem. The younger ones need to know you can play with them, maybe, okay? Just think about your own situation, okay? Because you have to think about your variables. But in ours, the younger ones could play spoons on the floor right here, that card game, spoons. But if I saw that the younger ones were being like super silly, like obnoxious, they wouldn't be. They're not mature enough to be able to handle it. If you want to play with the big kids, Heather, do you remember that saying? What?
You want to play with the big kids, you gotta act like the big kids.
Yeah. And that usually means err on the side of talking less. Don't try to get attention. All right? So as a mom, we want to watch all those things and pull them out and say, you know what, you go ahead and do something different right now and let the older ones play in this. The point is, if they have the older ones or the younger ones, anyone has the heart of being mean-spirited, they're not ready to have friends over yet until they've learned to really love their siblings first and foremost and not hurt their siblings when friends are over. We talked about knowing each other's strengths. The way that we talk about them is very important. And make sure they know how to compliment each other easily. If that's something that is not easily done in your home, work on that. At your family dinner table, it's really important you're having meals together and that conversation is intentional there. And then if you have one child that's quieter, that says less, before having dinner, train ahead. Tonight, I want you to talk. I want you to ask Dad how his day was. And you might tell the ones that talk a lot. Tonight at dinner, your sister, I've asked her, we want to try to help her communicate better because she gets left out or this or that. So tonight, I want you to talk less. Or when you do talk, I want you to ask your sister and wait and listen for her answer. That kind of thing goes beyond siblings, but it starts with in the home to when you have guests. You say, okay, this person's coming over for dinner tonight. Here's some things they like to do. Blah, 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 blah. They are good at these things. They went on these trips recently. So when we eat together tonight, how can you show interest to them? What can you ask them? And you ask your kids this. What's something you would like to know about the trip she went on, okay? And so you're training them how to be good conversationalists, right? To be about others. How many of the kids naturally just want to get up and leave? A lot of them, right? They have to be, some of them are naturally good at communication skills, but others are not. But everybody, no matter if they're introverted or extroverted, y'all hear me? For us too, no matter if we prefer to be introverted or extroverted, we are all called to be about other people. And that means learning to speak up, learning to have good eye contact, learning to be quiet, learning to ask questions that show interest and then wait to hear out the story before asking a follow-up question. Listening. You're in your home, your children know how to mourn with each other. When someone's sad, everyone should be willing to hear. Now, I'm not saying if someone's sad, the whole house has to be pouty. That's not what I'm talking about. If someone's friend is going through, someone's friend has cancer, the whole family should gather together and pray. If that's not the way your family operates now, you can begin to change it. And I've found some of the easiest ways to make changes, significant changes, is to say, hey, I realize we do this. Something that I heard that I want us to do within our home is this. And here's what it's going to look like. And it's just progression. It's not embarrassing if we look at it from that perspective. I want us to pray with each other when somebody's sad or hurting. Yes? Okay. Also, when people share their dreams in life, there's people that are dream busters, that suck the life out of you, that are naysayers, right? We all have them. I hope that none of us are them. And then there's people who believe in you so much, they do what it takes to help get you to what you might not even know you have potential to. That starts within our home, with listening to their dreams, with even painting those pictures for them, right? Saying, you love children. You teach so well. I love the way you're naturally drawn to kids. You'd be an amazing teacher. Not that they couldn't choose something else.
I think we have to help them find their gift.
I do too.
Because if you've ever watched American Idol and some beautiful little blonde girl goes on there and she sounds like a squeaky screen door, but someone told her she's got a gorgeous singing voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think whoever did that isn't concerned about her delusion,
Yeah.
or that she seeks to embarrass herself on TV. So I feel like we also have to be careful to
Be real.
be honest to them.
I do too.
You know,
I'm not
that's-
saying make stuff
that's
up,
one
of
those
course.
important things you have to do so they don't fall on their face
Right.
in front of an audience.
And there are times when we, of course, have to skillfully
yeah.
navigate them towards something different.
Like,
Like,
help 'em
I
find
know
the
you
right
like the
thing.
tuba,
Yeah.
but it doesn't like you. Yeah, I do think that's important as well. But we should be able to see these strengths, and help them. And when they talk to us, let it be a safe place that they can share, I think I'd like to do this. And there are a lot of times kids say things and you're like, yeah, that is not happening. I know you want to play professional basketball in the what is it called? What's the NBA? NBA, but you're 4'2". And but you're good and you're fast. So let's see. I want you to play your heart out, but I also see these strengths in you, that kind of thing. So, and we don't want to embarrass our kids. And when they share stuff with us, if we go, yeah, right, you're ridiculous. You'd never be good at that. Things like that. That's very humiliating. 1 Corinthians 13:5. Love does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil. Ephesians 4:32, and be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. I have seen so many times a mom belittle her husband, a wife belittle her husband, right? Moms embarrass, degrade, just crush their kids publicly. Shouldn't be done privately either. But oh, so much damage we cause by a tongue that's unbridled. And you know what? We're probably all guilty of that. We can make it right and then seek to never do that because we find it of such importance. And we understand the damages are so great that we don't give in to that. Saying you're stupid. You'll never amount to anything. Never should come out of our mouth. And saying I love you should be a beautiful thing that's said. 1 Corinthians 13:7, it also says, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. This is how we teach our children. Their attitudes towards each other is love. And it also, Galatians 6:2, love, it bears one another's burdens. This is how we operate in our homes, in our little nations. No teasing, no speaking unkindly. Colossians 4:6, let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one. You know what's really neat, and give you all a vision forward when your children are older, is when my younger girls who are in their teen years are going through something, and I say, call your brother, ask him his thoughts. Call your sister. If somebody's concerned about a sibling, even if it's a younger sibling, concerned with an older sibling, I'll say, if God's put that on your heart, call them. You have an important role in your sibling's life. Call her on it. Fully hear out the matter, but be willing to speak into your sibling's life. Teach your kids. They need each other. They need that. Okay, we only have a couple minutes left, so I'm going to move on to just generally. So we've talked about sibling relationships and the respect in the home, respecting each other like that. Let's just talk about respecting everybody. Okay? Respecting everybody. Same principle. It's putting off ourselves and putting on esteeming other people more than ourselves. So here's what an aim in our parenting should be: to teach our children to observe and teach our children initiative. Initiative is one of the greatest things, character qualities to teach, and I think it's rare. I do. So we have the privilege of teaching our children this, to see and notice ways to help, ways to lighten the load of others, to be there for someone in a difficult time, or when they have a lot of pressure on them or demands on them. So I've actually taught my boys, so important to me with boys. Do y'all see that a lot of men don't have friends? A lot of men don't need friends. Like, this is my experience. I want my boys to be the kind of men that stand up to their friends, or even people older who are about to make really bad choices, who are in the midst of sin. The Bible tells us to speak into each other's lives. That's true love. That's true friendship. It starts little with these boys, teaching them to speak into each other's lives, teaching them to stand up, teaching them right and wrong, and to be willing to take that risk and not care about the results because they just be obedient to God. So I've taught my boys, when even an adult man is going through, let's say they're sad about something, hey, go ahead and give him, like, text him and just tell him, like, let him know that you are praying for him. I said a kid can mean so much to an adult. It's not just adult meaning a lot to an adult. Kids can encourage adults. And as they grow up, I have a son and his two sons in their 20s. They have been like that in difficult situations for men, calling them on it and saying, I just want you to know that I care. And that's hard. Teach your boys these kind of things. Teach them how to have initiative, to be in each other's lives. We just had Florida Georgia weekend here, and my son had I don't know, like 6 or 7 guys over here from his college days. And he is so intentional about keeping up with guys, keeping up with the relationships. That's incredible. That's amazing. Now, I believe God put that in him anyway, but I believe a lot of it was training too. Do you understand? Guys are wired differently, but just keep, I didn't mean guys, they are, but even between guys, not all guys are wired the same. So don't have the same expectations. Just keep teaching and letting God work on them. Your son is amazing at keeping up, being intentional with guys. She's got many sons, but I'm talking about my son's friend. That's her son. Did that make any sense? I think I worded that wrong, but you get me. Okay. His name is James. Okay. I know you're watching on Facebook Live. Okay, so noticing great things about people and cheering for them. Noticing sad things and mourning with them and just being present. Just going and sitting. When my son had cancer, he had boys, some of his friends, this is the other son, they just came and just sat in on the chemo treatments. We're just present. That is amazing. Incredible. It meant the world to me. Teach your boys, teach your girls too, to write a note because they can breathe life to other people. Do you see the opposite? When we see a situation, anything, good, bad, we can teach our kids, hey, you have a chance to encourage that lady. Some of y'all brought me a gift tonight. You wrote notes. Because probably last week you heard my love language is words of affirmation. And as a trigger, we should all be like that in the lives of our kids. Hey, your friend is hurting. Write them a note. Text them. Okay? Are we doing that with our kids? Teaching them to be not about self, about others. Some of my kids were much, much harder. They preferred to not take a risk and step out to encourage because it could be embarrassing. No. I don't care if you're introverted. We're called to celebrate with others. We're called to push others to their best, not in an ugly way, to stir up good in them and to mourn with those who mourn. We can be doing that by having initiative ourselves, like observing and then saying, teaching our kids this. Let's pray about it and ask God what he wants us to do to encourage that person, and then being quick to do it. And then what about grandparents? What about grandparents? Our kids can call. Our kids can, if they're local, they can stop by. I have a daughter at college that came in town 2 days ago, just to visit both sets of grandparents. That's amazing. Now I don't want y'all to get the wrong opinion of our family because we have so much room for improvement in that area. But it touched me, and my dad called me yesterday, and he goes, thank you for raising your kids. I took a lot of ownership, but I don't deserve it for this. But he called, I'm just telling you how important it was to him. He called and he said, thank you for teaching your children to love their grandparents. A note, whatever God puts on your mind, this is what I've taught mine, and I try to abide by it. If you think something nice, say it. If you hear something nice, pass it on. So if your kid says something to you like, Mrs. Parker's shirt is so pretty. That's the best color. I just love it on her. You know what I would do? You should tell her. And then as I'm training, I'll go, Miss Parker, come here. Tell her what you said. Tell her what you said. Then she'll say, Miss Parker, that's a beautiful color on you. Do you know when we teach our kids and ourselves to be free with compliments, that is the opposite of being ruled by jealousy. We are happy for others. We are glad that they look great in that color. Chartreuse, I think. Magenta. We're trying to think of other words. I'm still on the fuchsia. All right, so when they're sad that they didn't get a part in the play but their friend did, what do? One way of handling it is to teach your child to be self-centered. You deserve that. You are much better than that. Oh, I know we want to do that, don't we? It's to say, you know what? You did a great job. But for whatever reason, she got the job, and God is the role. God is sovereign. He could have had you have that job, that role in the play if he wanted it. But he didn't. So let's call and leave a message on her answering machine. Or let's text her. Let's make a banner for her. Let's celebrate with her. Let's start seeing things, moms, through the eyes of the other person. Through their eyes, and teaching our children to look at things a different way instead of through our self-centered way that we're all prone to. Celebrate. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. Teach my children to invest in other people. To step beyond that comfort zone that we think what's the word in, introverted, that we think introverted people have to stay in. That is not true. You can be introverted, and it's a beautiful quality. Just like extroverted. Both are beautiful, but both tend to be self-centered. And the challenge with introverted people oftentimes is teaching them, take that risk. You're stuck being quiet at this moment when that friend needs you because you're thinking about the comfort zone, and it's got to be greater to you to realize the impact you can make on another person for you to step out. Trust God, no matter your personality. Trust God that he wants to use you with the idea he's put on your mind. No matter your age, no matter introverted or extroverted, trust God. These are some things we can do to teach our children to be about others and not about selves. Well, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this 6-week series on Cultivating a Peaceful Home, ending with today's lesson, which is really about respecting others and investing in others, right? Within our home and then beyond.